Ladies and gentlemen,
It's time for the Early Bird Special. Bringing you the best stories from the world of sports and sports entertainment. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
Sorry, I forgot to put us up there on the video screen. Good morning, Bakersfield and surrounding communities and everybody watching online. This is the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick, and that is Sparky. Sparky, good wild Wednesday, my friend.
Wow, dang.
Let them know what they're in for.
Oh, we'll talk about your Cavs.
No, don't get me started.
We'll talk a recap of the NBA games last night, and then we will finally introduce you to local comedian Nathaniel Webb, who
Probably
will join us at 7:30.
Got to be the funniest door guy in town. Right?
He's up there, man.
Got to be the funniest.
I can't throw any. I can't say that because Anthony is a door guy too, and he is.
I know
hilarious.
a lot of door guys. Okay, but look, Anthony came in here last week and told us about a foot fetish joke that didn't land.
Ugh.
Which is now a reel on our Instagram and TikTok if you want to go check it out. But no, this guy's got to be the funniest one.
And he has a show with our boy Tyson and our boy Anthony. You can see all three of them tonight at Timber, so we'll get into that. And then we'll preview the games tonight. Hopefully the Knicks can knock out Boston, but I'm not going to count out Boston quite yet.
I am.
I'm not. I know if it was that given, they wouldn't play it.
True.
But we've got some news out of the NFL. The Thanksgiving game was announced this morning. And we'll also get into the whole Pete Rose lifted ban, which the more you read into it, the more ridiculous it sounds.
Well,
but
I mean, I kind of echo the sentiments of Michael Wilbon yesterday on PTI. It's a little late for this, isn't it?
You think?
And like the reasoning behind it is really morbid. I don't know. We'll get to that in the second half of the show.
Plus, we do have a family 4-pack of Kids Fest tickets taking place this Saturday at the Kern County Fairgrounds. If you want a chance to win, just text in during the show 661-842-2000, and you might be able to take your kids to Kids Fest, where there'll be water slides, video games, food, all sorts of stuff. Just text in 842-2000 and you'll win tickets on us.
And hopefully it's going to be a really good weather day.
I saw the weather app yesterday morning at this same time. It said 60% chance of rain all weekend.
I remember we saying that.
And then yesterday afternoon when I was talking to my buddy Michelle, she was like, no, it's not going to rain. And I opened up the app and it said 90. I'm like, what?
Did you feel the wind last night? It was pretty chilly for, a place that's supposed to be in the triple digits right now. Just throwing that out there.
But let's get into the NBA because I know Donovan Mitchell did play.
He did.
And he probably shouldn't have.
No, he's the only one that did. Let's be honest. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it at all. I am a very, very frustrated person after watching that game last night.
He seemed upset after the game as well.
I cannot believe. Don't get me wrong. I know the Pacers are a good team, and they were hot coming into this series. But you're gonna sit there and tell me that Pacers roster is better than Cleveland's? You're gonna tell me that you're gonna get outshot by the Pacers almost to an embarrassing rate? I mean, 25% from three last night, 9 for 35. They had 3 3-pointers going into the fourth quarter. Max Strus went 0 for 9 with an 0 for 6 from beyond the arc. Now, mind you, this guy dropped 20 in the last 2 games, so I'm not necessarily that mad at Max, but I mean, dude, if you're not hitting tonight, you're not hitting tonight. Pass to somebody who is. And just watching this game, they were up by 14? Almost, I think it was more than that at one point. Absolutely lost it. Tyrese Halliburton again made you look silly. And I have to question the coaching here as well because, forgive me if I'm wrong, Sparky, but all 5 of these games, Indiana beat Cleveland doing the exact same thing. Getting out in transition, running, and getting to the basket first. Cleveland made no adjustments to try to fix that. They didn't even try to stop them from getting into transition. They just kind of hoped every basket would go in. You cannot allow that. You know what it was? In my personal opinions, being somebody who's watched this team for the last couple of years, they were missing that tough grittiness that JB Bickerstaff used to give you. And honestly, I don't know if Kenny can give you that. I really don't.
You mean Coach of the Year, Kenny?
Again, I've said my piece on that. It should have went to JB.
Well, I got home around halftime, so I got to see the second half, and I heard from Barkley, which I should have pulled the audio, but I thought Cleveland was going to stay in the game. But he said at halftime, Cleveland was up big when they were going to the, scoring in the paint, and they got away from that. And then I believe it was almost 20 points, but they were up by with like 6 minutes left in the second quarter.
Yep.
And Barkley said, you let them back in because you went, shooting jumpers that weren't landing, and you should have just went back and fighting in the paint. But what I saw, especially the last, 4 or 5 minutes of the game, was a team forcing shots and then just not finishing at the free throw line. I mean, once Donovan missed those 3 free throws at the end, it was over.
Don't get me started on that.
But I was like, that was rough on him. And yeah, he hit a 3 like 10 seconds later. But can you imagine if he hit those 3 free throws?
That's exactly
and the 3,
what I said.
Then it'd been a whole different game.
It's a tie ball game.
Yep.
I trust me, that part, when he missed all 3 of those free throws in the fourth quarter, I couldn't believe it. And honestly, I know everybody feels, oh, woe is me for Donovan. I do feel bad for Donovan, but no, you contributed to this loss just as much as everybody else did, homeboy. You had a terrible shooting game throughout this game. 8 for 25. True, he ended with 35 points and was the only one that was anywhere close to that outside of Evan. But 8 for 25. I'm sorry, I thought you were Donovan Mitchell, not Russell Westbrook.
Or James Harden.
Yeah, exactly. When are we going to learn that this type of basketball doesn't win you championships?
So as a Cavs fan, do you call this season a failure?
Oh, 110%. There is nothing more than that. This was a absolute hogwash season. If you look at honestly, I never do this, Sparky. I never do, because I find the comment section on social media to be the most toxic thing on the planet. But yesterday, I was just very curious. I had to know. Was I alone in this, thinking that Cleveland was just embarrassing? Because that's what this was. This was an embarrassing loss. Not the game, the series. To get dog walked by Tyrese Halliburton. And mind you, if any of your players, any of them, participated in that anonymous poll from The Athletic and called Tyrese Halliburton the most overrated star in the league, if any of you were part of that, I want you off the team immediately.
You pissed him off.
Immediately. Because unless your name is Donovan Mitchell, where were you? Evan showed up for 1 game. Darius showed up for 1 game and was hurt for the other ones. I need more from these guys. If I'm a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, and that's honestly what all the fans are saying too. People are pissed off that Jared Allen played 30 minutes, got 9 points and 4 rebounds as somebody who's a 7-footer. I love Jared Allen, but he only plays when he wants to, and that really hurts the team. You have 2 to 3 7-footers, if you really want to count Dean Wade as well, who comes off the bench or started half the year for Cleveland. You have 3 guys that are towers. There should be no instance ever in any point in time that anybody gets to the rim on you, period. Every shot should be a 3-pointer. And yet, I see Pascal Siakam, I see Naismith, I see Mathurin, I see Tyrese Halliburton all getting to the rim whenever they wanted at any point in time. Not a single block from Jared or Evan. I'm sorry, I shouldn't take that back. I should take that back. Evan had one on Tyrese late. That was a fingertip block. It's embarrassing. You are embarrassing. This is not a good look for you. And honestly, I also saw this from the owner, Dan Gilbert, who came out and apologized to the fans and said, oh, this isn't how we wanted to end the season. Shut up. No one wants to hear from you.
I mean, they became the 4th team, just the 4th team in NBA history to win 64-plus games and failed to reach the conference finals. But moving on to the second game before
before I pop a
my
freaking
boy
blood vessel.
has a heart embolism or whatever. The
I
OKC
can't, dude.
staged a comeback in the fourth to defeat the Nuggets 112-105.
This game was interesting. Okay, did you watch this final sequence? The entire from what I think it was like 103, 100 to
Oh,
the
yeah.
end of this game. Joker's 3-pointer at the end of that game. How does he make that? How at all? He just threw it up. I could not believe that
It was
went
like
down.
Donovan's three late in the game where it looked like a rainbow.
Or
I'm
one
like,
of
he's not going to make
Steph's-
that.
Yeah, like what? Because
Sure
Steph
enough.
Curry is notorious for
He
that.
just throws it up.
But this ball, like, I swear, the more I watch Jokic play, the more I'm just shocked by the fact of how lazy it looks. But it's not laziness, it's effortless.
Yeah, it's just not pretty.
It's just not pretty. Exactly. It's not practical. But it's so crazy to watch this type of stuff. But again, another showing from the Thunder, the youngest team in the NBA, that it does not matter. And their experience is most likely a ruse to everybody who doubts them, including myself earlier on this year, because they're showing everybody that they can win at the highest level possible.
And this is a SGA after the game.
For me, first and foremost, like, winning is the end all be all. That's why I play basketball. And I know that across the locker room. So like whatever it takes to get that done is what our minds is on. And it's not just me, it's not just coach, it's not just Sam, like it's across the locker room. And I think that's why we've been able to win basketball games this year. Now we all know that we can't get ahead of ourselves and we got to play the play in front of us. If we want to get there, we can't skip those steps. And that's what we focus on.
And it's a great way to go about it. I mean, again, a game at a time is exactly the way you want a young team like this approaching series against guys who are former champions. Because at any point in time, the Nuggets can turn it on and absolutely run the gym. Again, as I've said many times in the last couple of days, ceilings, same. Floors, vastly different. But luckily for you, as the Thunder, your floor is way higher than the Nuggets. So I think they're in a really good spot right now, sitting at 3-2, headed back to Denver. I believe that game is what, Friday?
Yes.
Friday. So, I mean, it's going to be an interesting game to see if they can wrap it up. I expect Joker, though, to come out with his best effort. I mean, again, it's hard for me to say that it's a walk-in triple-double, but I mean, talking about Joker, most of the time when he plays, it is a walking triple-double. He needs guys like Jamal Murray and Michael Porter and Aaron Gordon to step up as well.
It's actually tomorrow.
Oh, it's tomorrow night. Okay, yeah. Fantastic. I couldn't remember if they gave him the extra day for travel time. But, I mean, what do you think? Do you think that the Thunder wrap it up in 6, or do you think we come back to Oklahoma for 7?
I think we go 7.
You think it goes
7?
Denver
bounced back at home, but I still think OKC will take it.
Well, this is the only series where they've split the series technically at home. So it could go either way. That's the craziest part about this. I think if you get a solid game out of Jamal Murray, at the very least, the Thunder at least move on to, or I'm sorry, the Nuggets will move on to a game 7. But you need the supporting cast around Joker to step up as well. That's going to be absolutely pivotal.
Yeah, we had a text that says, sorry about your Cavs.
It is what it is.
They didn't come to play.
Honestly, as long as Boston don't make it, I don't care. I am now in Sparky's train. Let's go Knicks. Which is really weird for me to say out loud. It is awful for me to say out loud.
It feels wrong.
However, I'm all for the Knick train right now.
As a Bulls fan, it's hard, but
it's God-given.
I
mean, our new Pope is from Villanova. Their entire starting 5 is from Villanova. I mean, come on. God like has come down and touched the heads of Jalen Brunson and said, "It's your time, my son."
It's like I saw the reel yesterday that was saying the NBA stole this from the WWE. When they had the Pacers and Knicks set up, but
yeah, no,
I'm not gonna count out the Celtics until it's over. I've watched too much basketball to be like, yeah, it's over.
No, and that's an absolutely fair statement. I think Jaylen Brown and the rest of this team is still enough to at least compete, win the whole dang thing. Though now I don't know, because Jason is like, to say Jason Tatum isn't that big of a piece to the Celtics is just
It's a big spot. And that, I mean, luckily he had his successful surgery yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that
ruptured Achilles, though. I mean, we can get into that real quick, too.
Seeing the replay, it just looked painful.
I agree with Chuck. First phone call should be to Kevin Durant. because Kevin went through the exact same thing. Unfortunately, this is the injury that sidelined Kevin for a year and a half. He didn't come back until he was 32. We are hoping and praying that's not the case for Jason. I mean, medical science has greatly grown in the last couple of years, so it's possible that the healing process will be a little bit better. But this is one of those injuries that you hate to see, especially the non-contact ones, because you know it's going to be a long-term healing process, and you never come back the same. Kobe didn't come back the same. I guess to a degree, Kevin didn't come back the same. I mean, it's going to be
It's
really,
tough. And what team is he going to come back to in the
yeah.
first place?
Well, I think Boston keeps the band together, but it depends how successful they are.
I don't know about that.
Who
I
do you
mean,
think?
that was a lot of talk yesterday because, this is going to be probably a full year before we see him.
It's possible. It is very possible it's a full year. And that's what I'm saying, though. It's like it's going to be a testament to his mental, because I think that's one of Jason's biggest criticisms, is that he's not mentally a dog, which I don't agree with that. I really don't. I think Jason has showed everybody that he has all the ability and skill in the world to be a champion. Obviously, he is a champion. And to say he doesn't have the mental affordability to come back from something like this, I think is just wrong. I think he genuinely will come back from this, but it really depends on how quickly he comes back from this. That's the main question to me.
It'll be a long rehab, but we'll get into the games tonight. Right after this break, the early bird special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. That's right. It is a Wild Thing Wednesday here on the Early Bird Special. We're doing a little early today because we have a guest, and obviously we want to give you guys the opportunity to try to beat us in this Wild Thing Wednesday. We got a couple stories for you here, and here's how this is going to work.
This one's going to be tough.
This one's going to be tough. But if you can beat either mine or Sparky's stories, either or, you don't have to beat both, just one or the other. And mine's pretty easy. I'm not going to lie to you. His is harder than mine. But if you could beat either of our stories with a wilder story that you can send to us right now that we could prove happened, we will hook you up with a family 4-pack of tickets to the Kids Fest going on this Saturday at the Kern County Fairgrounds, along with 2 unlimited ride wristbands for your kids. Now, that will be easily done. All you got to do is just send it in to 661-842-2000. If you got a crazier story than one of the stories that we're about to tell you right now. Sparky, go ahead and go first, my friend.
Oh, well, mine is, it's kind of been a big headline in the last 24 hours, but the Olympic gold medalist wrestler Kyle Snyder was arrested in a prostitution ring operation in Colombia. The 29-year-old has been charged with engaging in prostitution based on court records. I know the video has been out. It came out yesterday when he walking around with no pants on, but I mean, the funny or the more wild thing with, I mean, it's prostitution. I mean, it's just in the wrong state, I guess. But
well, again, prostitution is not okay. But 29 years old, Olympics, you're throwing all of that away, man. I don't get it. Now, don't get me wrong. It depends on the person. But when you have opportunity like that to represent our country in any way, shape, or form, in any sport, and to have this come down on you.
I mean, he won a gold medal when he was 20 and got a silver in Tokyo in 2024. But the other thing was, which was more wild to me, was the arrest came shortly after his Real American Freestyle Wrestling League announced that he had joined their roster. So he's over there with Hulk Hogan. Ooh.
Oh, this is a great look for Hogan's entire wrestling production. Man.
He was supposed to premiere at the inaugural event on August 30th in Cleveland.
Of course he was.
But hopefully,
obviously getting busted for prostitution.
Maybe Hogan can bail him out and get him back on the roster before August 30th.
I mean, if there's anybody that could help you dodge allegations, it's Terry. I'm just going to leave it at that. My story for you guys, which I think is kind of the easier one to beat, but I still think this is fun and funny. The Kansas City superfan Xavier Babador has been sentenced to 32 years in prison by an Oklahoma judge after he pled guilty to armed robbery of a teachers union in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, for those of you who don't know who this man is, if you've watched any Chiefs game in Arrowhead, you remember the superfan at the front that was always in the gray wolf suit that has not been there in a year at least. This is the guy. He apparently is a longtime bank robber from back in 2022, where he was busted for robbing a bank and then had a deal made in March 2023 with the FBI. He then evaded the FBI by cutting off his ankle bracelet, fled to California of all places, got busted here, and then all of this stuff has kind of transpired. So he is has admitted to stealing more than $800,000 from banks in 11 different robberies across 7 states, including laundering the money through casinos. So this guy is, and I hate to say this because I know how America works and how this is all going to roll. But Sparky, do you sniff a Hollywood movie coming from this?
Oh yeah,
this is absolutely the next Ocean's movie coming out. Like. I was
already thinking that's a good episode on Ozark.
Absolutely. But I mean, just Xavier is going to prison for a very long time. So you will not be seeing the big bad wolf at the Chiefs games anytime soon. But $800,000.
That's a ton of money.
Over 11 robberies. I thought bank robbery was over with. I thought that wasn't even a thing you could do anymore. Like, the fact that this man was able to pull off 11 of them over 7 states in a matter of 3 years. Like, or at least that's what they're saying. I don't know if it's probably longer than 3 years, but at least from what we understand is the saga began at the end of 2022 in December.
Does it say what state he's in?
Currently he's in Oklahoma. because he
Okay.
got busted in Tulsa. So
I was gonna say if he was in California, he might not do as much time.
no. Yeah, and that's why I think exactly why they shipped him back here to Oklahoma, because they knew exactly that. But again, I thought that this entire thing was behind us, Yosemite Sam. Come on now. Like, and at the same time, like, there's no money in these vaults anymore. It's all electrical. So I don't understand how he made away with $800,000.
He is. I mean, that's probably he'll need that for season tickets.
Well, that's exactly how he got the season tickets. How the heck do you think he sat in the front row of Chiefs games for the last couple years?
Wow.
This guy was living the dream for 2.5 years before he got busted.
Well, we'll take this break. We'll introduce you to local comedian Nathaniel Webb right after this, the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. There's your usual.
Let's wake up.
Get your daily book. Usually get it here on the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick, and that's Sparky, and we got another special guest in the house with us, the funniest doorman in town. We'll stand by that statement. Daniel Webb's in the house. What's going on, brother? How are you?
There's volume.
Yeah.
Want to turn it up?
Turn it up. No, not the music. The music go away.
That's why I play the metal in the morning.
Probably the headphones.
You gotta wake up.
All over. This turns you guys up.
Yeah. That one would be yours right there.
Oh, this
From
right
the sub,
one.
yeah, the one on the right.
This
Yeah,
is
I'm
for
sorry.
when he
My right,
finally
your left.
decides to come in this room and hang out.
Yeah.
Well, somebody's got to press the buttons.
I know. That's what I was telling him during the break. Because until we get somebody on that side of the glass, unfortunately, we all can't sit.
Well,
in the
once
same
we
room.
get down to
You guys have three
Woolworths,
people back there.
once we get down to Woolworths,
You
it'll
need
be
another one?
more intimate. But this is
I think these things are messed up. Hold on. Let me help him out real quick.
well, you do that while I set up. So Nathaniel Webb
Oh,
is
my
a one of our local comedians that is a part of the Well, and our boy Dan Betts introduced us a while back. I actually got to see Nathaniel a couple times over at the Well when they was still on that disgusting building on White Lane,
Whoa.
which he tells me to say. I love that place because it was
Daniel
with
tells
it.
you to say that.
Yes. So I usually
So
I
yes,
liked
you
it.
can slander the building as well if you want to. Everyone has since they've been here. So
No,
So-
because I don't have hate in my heart like Daniel Betts does.
there you go.
I wouldn't.
well,
do that.
I liked it because it was right in my backyard. I could actually walk when it
Ooh.
was at White Lane. But now that we're all moving downtown, I guess I'll have to get used to being at the old Fish Lips building, and we'll be at Woolworths.
Oh, you
We're
heard
moving down to
about that?
Woolworths. Yeah, Dan told us a couple weeks ago.
Dude, you guys figure. I swear to God, you guys will figure out things before I do. I figured out like 3 days ago that we're.
Who
gonna
tells
be
the
there.
doorman anything, though, right? I mean, come on.
Dude, I don't get told anything. Sometimes I get a text that morning that's like, "Dude, your mic's canceled." And I'm
Oh.
It's like, oh, that's messed up.
Well, I was going to bring that up because we had Anthony on last week, and he was talking about
Quick question: you had Anthony up here to talk about sports?
a little bit.
Well, a little bit,
Well, it was
yeah.
more about feet.
Talk
Yeah,
a little flag football.
It was more about how he bombed on some
The
feet
foot
jokes.
fetish jokes. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Those usually don't work. I mean, I'm not a foot person, but
No, he's good at those.
he seemed happy about it.
We hats off to him because we all obviously have our foot fetish jokes that we want to get off the table, but he kind of rules that category. We don't step on his toes. That's not a joke. But
Oh,
we leave those jokes to him because he's the pro at him. And he says he bombs, but he kills. He's a monster. He's being humble.
Well, I've heard. So you do a weekday show now over at Ava's. I knew about the pregame show with Anthony, which is what Thursday nights, I believe.
Yeah.
And then they brought up the new Midweek Crisis Comedy Club or a comedy show with Jason, and
Buddha Hazy.
now you have the weekday show, which is over at Ava's for now.
You say now, but
For now,
we're the longest running open mic.
see, he said the same thing.
Did Anthony say that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the longest running one. It's on Thursday, but the host changes like
Yes.
every other month. So he came in after somebody got tired of it. So he got seconds. That's all he got. He got nothing cool. We've been doing it for a long time.
So how long you been in comedy?
Me?
Yeah, you personal.
Just me? Okay. You flirting with me, dude? I don't ever get this personal. I've been doing it 3 years. 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
All right.
Started when I was 17.
Damn.
Yeah.
So you have to go to school after this, or
Yeah. Well, yes. That's why I'm exhausted. I was up all at night doing homework and studying for a test. And honestly, I was underwhelmed when I woke up because I was like, God, this hurts. Like, do you ever wake up and your stomach hurts?
Yep.
That's how you know you're like, dude,
This is gonna be one of those days.
I'm about 4 hours behind on whatever I should have got. And I woke up and I was like, am I really waking up to do this guy? Because I didn't know you guys are on the radio. You said something about ESPN. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know if that's your dad or something, but I woke up this morning. I'm like, am I really waking up at 7 o'clock to do a podcast for these two guys that want to talk about the Cavaliers getting swept?
Well, he's a Cavs fan.
Don't
So
look at me.
yes.
Look, I got my piece out. Okay, it was embarrassing enough.
But I turned on the radio and I was like, oh, okay.
They're getting over the Cavs stuff over before I get there.
I got my piece out, so it's going to be a happy day for the rest of the
I
day.
was just hoping this was gonna be live, because if it was recorded, I was like, who's waking up this early to talk about the Cavs if it's not live?
Oh man. So we are live from 7 to 9 Monday through Friday, but we also release it. We're also streaming on the YouTube, so
Hey.
you can see this young man.
That's awesome.
There is a bathroom right around the hall, so if you need to hit that before you go.
Yeah.
But so 3 years in comedy, how did you get into that? Is it just stumbled upon it, or did you start with like open mics, or?
No, I always wanted to do it. I'm sure you guys wanted to be talk show hosts when you're like 15, 16 or whatever. And so I was the same way. I had played basketball in high school most of the time, and I was from Tehachapi, so we didn't have a club or nothing like that, you know? So it wasn't until I came here to play basketball for Bakersfield College. Holla.
Renegades.
Now we're talking sports. Talk about the Cavaliers and Renegades last season.
Well, okay,
That's even more. No, I'm kidding.
I was gonna leave that one alone. We usually let the old man in the afternoon talk about that.
Dude,
so.
I don't even know what our record was when I played. I
I didn't even know they had a basketball team. To tell you the truth.
Oh no, they're pretty solid most of the
Dude,
time.
Really?
but-
They have a co-ed PE class, but every once in a while they use the big court. That's all that happens.
That's all that matters.
And I redshirted somehow. But
It can't be by the height though, because I mean you're a tall dude. What are you, 6'6" something?
okay.
I mean I'm like 5'4", so I'm looking up to
You
everybody.
set that
so.
up like you were about to roast the crap
No,
out of me.
no.
What do you like? 6? I'm 6'6". And the second I moved to Bakersfield, I was 17, and then I immediately started coming out to all the open mics, because I've always had an itch for stand up ever since I was like 14 years old. So once I was able to actually start coming out to them and stuff like that, most of them I got kicked out of because I wasn't 18 yet. But once I turned 18, I started going all of them that were not 21 plus, and then I've been doing it ever since. I don't think I've missed a week since.
Right on.
When did that start for you though? Like, who was the inspiration to get you really wanting to do this?
None of them. They all suck. But no, but Daniel Best was actually cut me some pretty good advice after I went up for the first time. But none of the comedians back then are even exist anymore. You know, it's very. I mean, the scene out here is very come and go. It's very beautiful though. It's like a butterfly maybe, but there wasn't much inspiration. It was just I knew I wanted to go up there.
Really?
And it actually, what helped me was going to the open mics, seeing grown men bomb, and being like, I can do better than that.
Yeah, exactly.
I tell that to everybody who's coming into the scene. I'm like, dude, watch some of these fellas. They're not good. That will make you feel pretty good about yourself. And then you go up there and do the same exact thing. But yeah, you do worse than them. And you're like, I think I have a good foot fetish show. And then you go up there and you do the same exact thing that you watch for 5 minutes. No. But it did take me a while. I didn't go up for my first time until I was 18, but I was watching it since I was 17. Eventually, I got the balls to go up, and then I did it, and it was the coolest night ever. It was so cool. I actually did pretty well. I've been writing that material for 6 years, just getting it ready.
You're like, if this does not work, I have to restart everything.
Yeah. Back to the drawing board.
Which I didn't know. I mean, until probably 5 or 6 years ago, I went to open mic. When I first met Dan, I went out to the Rocket Shop Cafe for an open mic and saw him and Boydston and a couple other guys, and I was like, wow, this was cool. And within probably 2 or 3 months,
donate money.
Yeah, how do I help these guys out? And I met Dan through some local vet stuff that we were doing over at the Portrait of a Warrior Gallery, and we connected, and I introduced him to my buddy that was actually opening the Well as a concert venue. And COVID shut it all down, and push came to shove, and Dan ended up getting the Well up and running full time. And I was like, cool, it's going to be a full-time thing. I hope we have enough comedians. And then I started seeing all these open mic shows, and we would go right around the corner and see, and I was like, damn, there's a lot of talent out here. There's also a lot of ones that sucked, but that's fun is what, going to an open mic and seeing these comedians, test out their stuff before, other shows. And I actually enjoy the open mic shows better than, the big shows personally.
Yeah.
Um,
It's the mindset. You got to know you're watching,
and you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah. I'm bombing all the time, and I've been doing it for 3 years. I think about the people who just started. Obviously I was there too, but you go up there and you have to try a new joke. You have no idea if it works, and you thought of it when you're high. That's like a double whammy. You're probably gonna bomb when you
funny
get up
when
there.
you're not high. just to see.
Everything sounds funny when you're high.
Dude, I had a joke about texting people at 3:37 in the morning, and I was crying laughing at 3:07. I'm like, that is such a funny premise. I only text people back at 3:37 in the morning, and for some reason, when I was high, I was like, that is the funniest thing in the world. I'm done. This is my new foot.
This is your ticket.
Yeah, and then just saying it on stage, I'm like, what am I even saying?
What am
This
I
didn't even make
talking about?
sense.
Well, we'll take this
Didn't
quick
even
break real
structure
quick.
the joke.
And I know you have a show coming up tonight, so we'll get into that much more right here on the Early Bird Special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick. got a Sparky. Nathaniel Webb still in the building with us. Got a show tonight at Temblor with a couple of his buddies, including Anthony, who you heard last week. Tyson, who's on the show a couple times.
Misfits Comedy Showcase.
Absolutely. Go check it out tonight. 7 is when doors open, correct? 8 o'clock is when the show starts.
This Misfit. Sounds like a Jerry Beats punk show. I knew that
Back in the day.
Well, I mean, you look at the flyer, you kind of got the Misfits looking going, you know, the kids from high school kind of a thing. I like it.
That's your only mention of the flyer. No more after that.
We'll leave it at that, apparently.
Yes.
So what are they going to be in for tonight at this show? Like, what kind of comedy do you usually like to run with? Maybe the rest of these guys. I know we like to talk about Tyson has stepdad comedy, like I like to call it.
Nice.
Anthony's the foot guy.
Anthony's the foot
Did you
guy.
say that to his face?
Yes,
Step
I
back
have.
comedy?
I've
Yes.
said it multiple times.
Dude, I don't think he's, I don't know. Take a few steps down, I assume, or something like that. Tyson.
I've never seen Tyson, so
You've never seen Tyson?
He
No.
hasn't seen
perform?
Tyson.
the
stand
last
up.
2 shows I went that he was
Oh.
supposed to be, he was sick. So
He's so enthusiastic about his racist stuff. It's awesome. It's like when he goes up on stage, it's really it's a blessing to see, because he goes up there and he talks like a substitute teacher. He'd be like, yeah, la, da, 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 da. But he'll be talking about the most racist thing you've ever heard in your life, and you're like, I don't know, like
If
the
I
way
is he
he's
serious or not?
and the way he looks, he's like, you can't be this enthusiastic about your racist joke. It doesn't look good on you, you know?
Well, now I've got to see him.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, it's a
Lord.
joy. I usually talk about just well, here are all my jokes on my phone screen. I got one about Panda Express,
Which I had last night for dinner.
dude,
Me and my son had it. We had my wife was out, so we were fast fooding it, and
It's a dad dinner.
Panda was the closest, and we that's what we had.
let me actually see what happened. You should make, I don't know, how about you make dinner? And you're like, I'm out of here. You took the-
Go to Panda. That's what really happened, and it was good actually.
Dude, Panda Express is the best thing in the world. It really is.
I always get like the big plate thing. I'm starving, and I end up leaving with after I eat like
Half of
lunch
it's
for
still
2
there.
days.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, all right, that works.
That's the positive. It's Chinese food. You're supposed to leave with way too much left over.
It's not just Chinese food. This is Panda Express we're talking
This is
Right?
true. It's Americanized Chinese food.
This is the only food that you can eat to where it's like it looks and tastes delicious, and after you're done, you're like, did I just eat someone's ass? Like, what is wrong with this food? That is Panda Express.
Oh,
is
good
the
Lord.
only food I do. Every single time I'm holding my stomach, 'cause I'm like, something's gonna shut down, and I gotta probably revive it. Or
My
something.
bowels are dying.
That's why I get up extra early before this show in case I could have my stomach all steady before the show starts.
You've
'cause
been antsy. You've been going up
I
and
have.
down, pulling out your shirt a little bit.
it's the soda.
It's the sweat coming down to
dude.
the brow.
It comes out of somewhere, and you don't know what
Yes.
orifice yet, but you'll know in the next.
It is
couple
coming.
minutes.
I definitely see that. But no, I was going to ask you, like we've asked a couple other comedians, the transition from the Well venue to Ava's. I know I've heard from other people that do a lot of crowd work, but they were saying how the lights are in Ava's, which I haven't gone out to Ava's yet. But
Mhm.
is it a different vibe in that venue compared to maybe the Well or Timbler?
It is definitely like quiet, like the ambiance in there. Have you guys ever been? Do you guys have pods in your school?
Mhm.
You know, and you go in your pod and you're like, is this the quietest room of all time? It's kind of like that, like doing comedy in the pod at school, because the second you do a joke and it bombs, it's like you can hear somebody like holding back a fart all the way in the back of the room. Like,
I knew it was
everybody-
coming.
It's so quiet in there. The dead air, there's no AC going, and
Oh,
plus
nice.
there's like it gets dark pretty late now, so it's like daytime, so you can see everybody's faces, and then just people going, you know what I mean? If things aren't going hot, but it is a beautiful place. You know, Eva did a good job. She decorated it, is what I heard, and it's a really nice place. And I like the rose seating, you know, and people are coming out. It's downtown, you know, plenty of people are anyway. We did our show last night, the weekday show, and it was a blast. We had about 20, 30, 40 people out,
Right on.
somewhere in there. And
20, 30, 40, 50 maybe.
24, it could have been 100, dude. I didn't count. I was on stage the whole time. I didn't know.
See, well, Anthony was saying that it's different for him because, you know, the Well, I mean, I'm from here to you is probably 6 feet.
Yeah.
And that's how close we were, at the well with the comedians.
Mhm.
And it was crotch level because there was several times where my wife got the
Well, as
joke
tall as he
where-
is, it's knee level.
exactly.
Is that
Um,
policy?
Huh?
Knee level?
That's probably, well, I mean, as tall as you are, everybody else is crotch level. I would assume you're a couple inches taller than everybody.
Yes.
So,
so I remember the last time we went to the final show at the well, and which you killed. I that's when I had told Betts, like, hey dude, we got to get Nathaniel on the show. But no, then Anthony was saying the difference at Ava's, it's the lights are different, so he can't see the faces. So he wasn't sure if he was bombing or somebody were smirking or they weren't even there at all, because he said it just gets blinded.
Yeah.
But
But now it's like light at night. But you're absolutely right, because whenever you have a spotlight, it's like there could be no one there or everyone there. And honestly, that's when you can start playing pretend. You can be like, "There's just 1,000 people in here."
we can actually open up.
So I'm bombing extra bad. You know?
So it is. I mean, I've been to Timbler. So is how their setup is it just where it's not in rows like the seating is, or it's
Oh
just
my
in like
God.
spots?
They might as well throw shows outside in the parking lot. The roofs are so high in there. It's like hello, 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 hello. Every time you say something there. It's that's where I first did stand-up. So it's always good to go back to Tumblr because it's very nostalgic for me.
Mhm.
Because they shut down the open mic there probably a year and a half ago. So going back there, being the first place I ever done stand-up was great. And it was actually the most challenging room we had, because it's so, when people are so spread out and they can see everything, the lights are off, they can see each other not laughing or see each other laughing. Sometimes it works in a good way, but when you have a room that big, it's so hard to get people to start laughing, Like the first comedian who goes up on stage to crack them is another level at like Tumblr, because everyone can see each other. We're all looking at each other's facial reactions,
Is he laughing? Should I be laughing?
Yeah, exactly. And then somebody is literally half a football field away from you, and you're trying to make this guy laugh. That's crazy.
Well, our boy Don Bynum and Tom Maxwell, they told me you're a comedy favorite over there at Timbler. So tonight's show, doors open at 7. Show starts at 8. I think there's 4, maybe 5 comedians on tonight's card.
You count?
I believe.
I
That's
think
why
there's 5.
it was like 20, 30, 40, 50. I know there's 4 or 5 I know of.
Did you count the headshots on the flyer?
And I know there was
Looks like-
Ivan
Oh,
Sanchez,
Lord.
which didn't have a picture on that flyer. Or no,
No,
it was
didn't.
Robert. Reggie.
Reggie.
Reggie's the one that didn't get the headshot.
Don't know who that is, but I'm sure
Last
he's
second
really
fillers.
good.
I don't think Anthony did either. So that's why he's like,
I'm not
going to put a
100%
picture in there.
I just imagine like the family that sees this flyer and goes, "Oh wow, that looks fun," because they probably don't exist. Is what I'm saying. 'Cause there's no way that somebody sees this flyer. It's like, "Oh wow, it's just like
I tried to talk nice about your flyer, man. I tried.
like-
We tried. I'm sorry.
school group project. Oh, this looks fun.
This goes in the
my
fridge.
I put it right next to your report card.
What was
Oh,
that?
Lord.
Shane Gillis?
Yeah.
That was the comedian
You
that
guys had Shane Gillis.
took
No,
a
no,
shot.
no. I wish. That'd be great.
Wow.
But no, I believe that's the show he was the venue he was talking with was Timbler, when he said it was after a hard day at work with a bunch of oil people that had probably a day drinking all day, and he just disliked doing the show in
What did you say,
Bakersfield.
Temblor or the Fox?
Timbler.
It was actually the Fox. Are you
Really?
talking about his hot wings?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was after the Fox. I saw a show at the Fox. Everything he was talking about is totally true. I was like sitting in the balcony, and people the whole time were just like, "Shane."
Oh my
I was
god.
like, "What?" Nothing to
Just
say
stop
after
the
that.
show.
Just want to say his name. Just
I've
like,
seen a couple of
"Shane."
shows at the Fox, and I mean that happens in a lot of shows, especially in Bakersfield,
Yeah.
where there's hecklers, and
I wouldn't even call them hecklers. They just want the guy to look at you for 2 seconds.
well, I
Most
mean
of the time.
Yeah.
what was it? The Kevin Hart one down at the
Yeah,
Fox.
that was a fight.
But
That
they
was
all have stories. It's crazy.
Yeah.
'Cause if you listen to podcasts, any mention of Bakersfield, we are the worst thing in the world, apparently. Which is I
Yes.
don't believe, because it seems great. But everyone I've ever heard from, this is a kind of an inside story. I don't know if you guys are going to your third break or something like that, but
No, we got a
no, you
couple
got
minutes.
okay. There was one comedian who'd been performed at a lot at the Comedy Store, the world famous Comedy Store in LA, and he started coming to the Well a lot. and he started throwing his own shows. I won't name drop him, but he had a lot of connections with a lot of the comedians in LA. And he almost got Bobby Lee to come to the Well Comedy Club just through close connections. And then everybody thought he was coming. He thought he was coming. And then day of the show, he calls Bobby Lee and he goes, Bobby, we're starting in like 45 minutes. Are you coming? And he goes, hey, it's Bakersfield. He goes, I know, but we booked you on the show. And he's like, come on. Hey, it's Bakersfield. What are we doing? Last minute cancel. And his excuse is, it's Bakersfield.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
Bakersfield.
dang, dude, is that how much we suck? We're an hour away.
We
Like,
get
you
a
can't-
lot of grief from LA just for being Bakersfield too.
I know.
And that's the issue. But I mean, again, I like you. I don't necessarily see it with everybody. I think that we have a lot of good things, but there's a handful of bad ones that just make everything look worse. So
Yeah.
that's all it is.
I think we're beautiful over here.
I think so too. But
Vacation spot.
we got to wrap this up though. Go to break real quick, pay some bills. Nathaniel, thank you so much for your time, my friend.
Yes, find us on Instagram. We got the said flyer on our page.
Dope.
Go see Nathaniel
You guys are awesome.
right
brother.
here tonight at Timbler Show. Doors open at 7. Show starts at 8. We appreciate it, brother. Go back to school.
I'm gonna go see Romeo later, guys.
Do it.
See you, brother. And welcome back. Early Bird Special, Hour 2. Big thank you to Nathaniel Webb for joining us. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. There were multiple points where I was like, but
No, he's hilarious, dude.
he's a good dude. He's a good dude. And appreciate everybody for listening this morning. Hopefully, you guys have potentially found a wilder story than us.
We did.
Did we?
Yeah, and it was bringing up the stabbing in Tehachapi prison.
You know what? I'll allow that. We're a sports and entertainment show. Tory Lanez, I'll allow that. 15 stab, 14.
18.
18 now.
18.
Okay, the first I saw was 14, then it was 15, now it's 18. Okay.
Punctured lung. And he's still kicking.
God, Fitty, relax. Making everybody look bad.
They said they blame Megan the Stallion.
Oh, absolutely. Again, we don't have to get into
I have
this
no
so
idea who
much,
he is.
but again, he's a hip-hop artist, a very good hip-hop artist, honestly, and he was me and our buddy KG were talking about this post show on Tuesday, but he is in prison for apparently shooting Megan Thee Stallion. Turns out that that's false. Actually, it has come out recently that is not what happened at all, and yet he's still serving time for it because who knows? But yeah, no, him being in prison is all because of Megan technically lying about it and just being mad because of a breakup or something or other. And again, that's as long and short of I'm going to get to it though, because
I for sure thought we were going to get some
legal
Diddy
issues.
stories, so thankfully we didn't.
Yeah, I mean, again, the Diddy story is wild, but we're going to leave that alone. Everybody
Yes.
at this point knows Diddy's a weird man.
Yes,
To say the very, very least.
so congratulations to Edward. You're our
Nicely done, Edward.
Edmund.
Edmund,
My
I
bad.
apologize.
I can't read. It's Edmund, and
Man, I'm the one with
congratulations.
glasses. You need glasses.
You got the family 4-pack with 2 wristbands to Kids Fest this Saturday at the fairgrounds. Come out. We'll be out there for a couple hours, so come out and say hi.
Fantastic.
Hopefully, our shirts will be printed by then, and then I'll throw out some shirts while we're there.
I wonder if she'll let me wear mine.
Who?
The lady of promotions.
Oh, yes.
Bowden will most likely not allow me to because it's code and whatnot, but it would still be cool to do.
Well, back
Anyways.
to basketball.
Yes.
The Knicks at Boston, Game 5. Knicks up 3-1. Tip-offs at 4 right here on ESPN Bakersfield. But everybody is just like, oh, Tatum's hurt. It's over. That's not how basketball works. And I mean, you just can't hand them the series. And the more I hear Kendrick Perkins talking about how he thinks the Knicks are just going to take it and take the championship this year, slow it down. I'll take Burdick's quotes. Slow it down.
Pump the brakes.
Pump them brakes. I'm not a Knicks fan, but as of right now, for these 8 teams or 7 teams that are left, I'm going for the Knicks just because Coach Thibodeau and I like Brunson. He's a stud, and I mean, I would not be surprised if we push it to Game 6. I mean, teams get lazy, and Knicks have been, 4-quarter game. They don't play all 4 quarters. Usually they're coming from behind from, the second or third quarter. They're usually down double digits. I'm hoping for a better game, a 4-quarter game. But if you're getting off work at 5, it's kind of cool because you get home and it's the second half, and you don't have to see the horrible first half of the Knicks.
Naturally.
But I'm hoping they lock it in. But I mean, this series has been so weird because the Knicks took 2 in Boston already, and so it only finished the story with finishing the series in Boston. But we did talk about Tatum. He had his surgery yesterday. It was successful. But what do you think? You think it's over?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna have to go the opposite side of this one, my friend. I think it's done. If it was anybody else that went down with an injury, if it was Porzingis or if it was Brown, I'd say there's still a chance. But you're talking about the Celtics' leading scorer, leading rebounder, and leading assist guy. Like it, or at least in the series, at the very least. But Jason Tatum is a massive, massive piece of this Celtics team. As much as I would love to say that Jaylen Brown and everybody's going to fill that void, it's a massive void to fill. I apologize.
Yeah.
And honestly, you just said it. They've lost both games in Boston already. And we saw it with Cleveland last night. If you're demoralized, if you're just defeated, and if a team knows how to beat you, which honestly, it just seems like that's the way that it's really falling this year. The Knicks were built to beat the Celtics.
Yes.
The Pacers are built to beat the Cavs, and it just lined up that way.
That's what I heard this morning is that Boston or the Knicks are set up to beat Boston. And that's, I mean,
But see, setting up to beat Boston doesn't win you a chip.
No
That's
one's
where
set
I
up to
agree with
beat
you.
Indianapolis or the Pacers. So,
No.
I mean, this is Washburn talking about, what's Boston going to need to get this win?
Well, I think the scoring would have to spread out. You'd have to have Al Horford score a little bit more. You'd have to have a more healthier and engaged Kristaps Porzingis. You'd have to have Derek White pitch it in. You'd have to have more points from Drew Holiday. Obviously, a 30-point per game score, you're not going to replace him with another 30-point per game score. It's going to have to be 3 to 4 guys who are literally going to have to up their offense, and they're going to have to be better defensively. You're not going to score probably 120 points a game without your leading score. So you're going to have to make the games uglier. You're going to have to rebound better. You're going to have to play harder at times. You're going to have to. You see Josh Hart or some of these guys, and Mitchell Robinson chasing down offensive rebounds against 3 and 4 guys. Sometimes it's an effort thing. Sometimes that's a desire thing. They're going to have to fill all those intangibles as well as just play better.
Honestly, that's going to be the long and short of it for me. Is we need to see a higher level of effort from the Celtics tonight. And I know we've heard it all over all the pundits say it, and a lot of other people say it as well. The Celtics have a problem of getting out in the front of these teams and then just kind of playing around and not taking it seriously.
Shooting up the half-court shots.
That cannot be the case. You need to take from here until the end of the playoffs are now serious mode, and you cannot afford to take any of those shots anymore, especially with a guy like Jason Tatum no longer being on the court. You need somebody to step up, true and sure, but the likelihood that you get all of these guys to step up at the same time is it's not unlikely, but it's very much going to be a hard thing to ask for.
And this is Windhorst and saying pretty much the same thing. He's not counting out Boston quite yet.
First off, I'm not giving this series to the Knicks just yet. And that's not a commentary on the Knicks. That's a commentary on the Celtics. They were 8-2 this year when Jason Tatum didn't play. They are loaded at the top end of their talent on their roster. They theoretically could get Game 7 at home if they win the next 2 games. It's a big if, but I'm just saying they do have potential home court advantage.
Very big if.
And I believe that they will rally back from this. And so what I've learned with the Celtics over the last 4 years of being there a lot in the playoffs is they lose when you think they're going to win, and they win when you think they're going to lose. And everybody's thinking they're going to lose. I'm not ready to go there. I think you see them fight back. But obviously the Tatum situation is extraordinarily upsetting and concerning.
It really is. But again, I have to disagree. I think this is wrapped up tonight. From everything we've seen, if the Knicks are able to come back multiple times down 20 against this team with Jason Tatum, they should be able to run away with it when they don't have Jason Tatum. And I think people are just wanting to believe that Boston has a chance. I don't see it. I really don't. The Knicks are stacked just as much as the Celtics are. And as we've said, Thibodeau leans on his stars and really doesn't take them off the court.
I was going to say, if it was any other coach, I would lean towards more of Boston not being out. But I know Tibbs, and I know he's going to coach the hell out of these guys, and they're not taking the day off. And I wouldn't be surprised if the starters, put 40-plus minutes in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping you're right. I'm hoping it's over tonight. And that moves on to, what we'll get into later this week, probably with Bolt on Friday, is the Eastern Conference Finals.
Knicks and Pacers.
And which nobody was expecting that. And it kind of goes right off of what you were just saying. Teams were built to beat Boston and teams are built to beat Cleveland. And nobody thought about, the Pacers and the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is reminding me of the late 90s, early 2000s with, the Knicks and Pacers, which I think is going to be a hell of a series. And New York's going to have to bring a lot because Pacers are quick. A lot of those starters are track athletes. It's going to be a high, fast-paced type series.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully that wraps it up tonight. But going into Game 2 of tonight, do you think Golden State's over?
Jury's out. I have to see if Steph plays, but it's what we saw in Game 4 was not very positive. And to be honest with you, it all leans around Jimmy not showing up for Game 4. And I mean, 9 shots overall in your entire 30, 40 minutes on the court. That's not going to do it, man. And I know that they're focused on you on defense. And I know they're making it difficult for him to shoot. I totally get why it's hard for him to get the ball up, but you have to make something happen in order for your team to have any shot of staying alive, especially since Steph said the other day he does not expect to play tonight, which means that hamstring has not gotten any better, which means he may not even be back for game 6.
If there is, yeah.
Yeah, if there's a game 6. So I think right now it's all going to be based around, can Jimmy Butler be playoff Jimmy tonight? And can the defense of the Warriors step up again like they did early in the first series and early in this series and hold Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards to under 30 points? Because both of them have torched this defense the last 2 games. But I mean, don't hear from me. Hear from Jay Williams, who pretty much said the same thing after game 4 about Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler's Batman. He's supposed to be in the trenches. He's supposed to be one with all the gadgets doing all the dirty stuff to get into your head. And by the way, when there's another man that's on the court that is punishing people through traffic, saying, and one, screaming, flexing on people, when there's another man after making a 3, after he's yanking Gary Payton II from side to side, making a 3 in Draymond Green's face, and then saying, you can't blink with me. Yo, what is happening? Now, I know people can say we might be tired. We might be a little bit, there are ailments, injuries, sickness, whatever it may be. I don't need to hear any of that. This is a game which is molded perfectly for Jimmy Butler to show up. And for 9 shots, that's not a sign of somebody showing up when the team needs him to be aggressive offensively.
100%. I think we do see Jimmy tonight. And I mean, I'm not going to throw him right past Minnesota because Minnesota is not a pushover.
No.
And I think we see playoff Butler, but I think there's more to it. I think he's going to need a lot more help from the team, obviously, because I mean, he hasn't seen. I mean, we're going to need to see more of Draymond. What do you have? 2 points in the last game?
Again, I would never lean on Draymond for scoring purposes.
No, not scoring, but to be in the game. I mean, fouling out early and having foul problems and not getting his minutes that he needs. They're going to need some more veteran help.
I have said this every year, though. I mean, again, I'm not a Draymond Green fan. I find him to be one of the most overrated. Honestly, in my opinion, overrated star, Draymond Green.
100%.
1,000%. And again, I get his impact on the court. I'm not saying he's not impactful. But to sit here and call the guy a star player when really he's a glorified role player, I just can't. I can't do it, at least in my personal opinion. But they've gotten the production from Kuminga. So they've gotten the help from the young star. They need Jimmy and they need Buddy. I think those are the 2 main guys you have to get going. You got to get going quickly. Because if they get hot early, they can win this game and they could steal it away from them. Come back in the series, that's a tall order. You need actual Batman back. You need Steph back. And without Steph, I don't see them pulling this out. I just, again, much like my argument when it comes to the Thunder and the Nuggets, ceilings, I wouldn't say the same on both of these 2 teams, but they're pretty similar. Floors, vastly different, and the cavern is widening, and it's not a good look for the Warriors.
Well, we'll definitely recap tonight's games tomorrow, but we will get into the big story, which is Pete Rose and this new lifted ban in baseball, and we'll break that down right after this break. The Early Bird Special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM.
Welcome back to the Early Bird Special. I'm Sparky. That's Verdict. And a surprise kind of news yesterday out of baseball. Commissioner Rob Manfred has made a historic decision to remove a lot of players that were pretty much banned to be in the Hall of Fame. And the weirdest part, or even morbid, is it's for players that are dead, pretty much. That that my first thing is, oh, finally they're gonna let D Rose in, which is not that easy. It's not like he was just inducted yesterday, but it seems like his word was banned individuals shouldn't end up upon the death, stating that deceased individuals can no longer threaten the game's integrity. And it wasn't just Pete, it was Shoeless Joe Jackson. And there's a long list actually of players, which I had no idea that was a thing. But obviously, I didn't watch baseball in the 1900s, 1915, 1916. But I guess there was the Joe Jackson, the 1919 Black Sox scandal.
Yep.
Where they had set up the World Series. There was Joe Gideon, Chuck. I mean, there's a long list. There's probably 15 players. Lefty Williams, that were all part of that Black Sox team.
Right.
There was a banning in 1920 for gambling for Gene Paulette. There's a lot of them is in the 1919, 1920 regarding that World Series scandal. But I mean, the big one is Pete Rose,
Right.
who was, caught betting on baseball when he was the manager. So, I mean, I've heard both sides. I mean, I personally, as a baseball fan, I would have loved to see his face being inducted, but obviously that was not going to happen. And baseball was a way different sport, a way different time.
Right.
As we talked yesterday about how NCAA is pushing to get college players able to bet, and now a day after they're going to let these banned players into the Hall of Fame. Do you think it's going to be that easy that they start? I mean, is that like a subcategory of the Hall of Fame kind of like?
If we're gonna build up subcategories, the baseball's Hall of Fame is gonna start looking like a file cabinet here in a second. But no, I mean, again, I kind of mimic the sentiments of what was said on PTI yesterday by both Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon, which we'll get to in a second because I did pull audio from both of them. It is really just, it's the evolution of sport right now, is that everybody is going to have to get used to betting is going to be part of a lot of this. Should you be betting as a player? No. Should you be betting as a manager? Heck no. And honestly, if you're connected in any way, shape, or form to a sporting event or sports team, you should not be allowed to bet. That's the long and short of it. However, I kind of agree with the fact that they are gone. They can't really hurt their legacy anymore, let alone yours. And in certain situations, like Pete Rose, there have been a handful of people that have come out in the last couple of years and said, guy deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, just solely for his statistics. And honestly, I kind of agree with it. However, let's start with Michael Wilbon real quick, because the biggest point that I thought was drilled down that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me is he's gone already. He's dead. And the whole point of getting into the Hall of Fame is to know you got into the Hall of Fame. And unless it's some tragic passing, it's not normal when somebody has really done it this way. And for Rob Manfred to come out and pretty much say it's because they're dead why it's okay for this to happen now, I don't agree with the Black Sox team. I think they should stay out. That was a blatant move to rig the World Series, which, I mean, we want to talk about boxing and all that being rigged. Pete Rose betting on a handful of games as a manager pales in comparison to what they did with the Black Sox. So Shoeless Joe and all those guys, you do not, I'm sorry, I don't think they deserve to be in, nor do they deserve to be off the ban list. Pete Rose is a completely different situation. But going back to Michael Wilbon, this is what he had to say yesterday on PTI about all of this, and I kind of agree with him.
I find myself just not giving a damn. It's like Pete Rose is dead. He's dead. And Pete Rose, who was so outspoken, and a guy that you covered more than I did. I did really more in managing and retirement. Fascinating, often crude character who we always loved talking to. Always. And we can't even get a reaction from Pete Rose because, once again, Pete Rose is dead. Shoeless Joe has been dead almost 75 years. I don't know how long Eddie Seacott, now I'm going back to the 1919 White Sox because that sort of resonates with the kid from the South side of Chicago. But, Tony, they're dead. What's the hot take that we're supposed to have about this now?
I agree with him. Like, the whole point is to know you got into the Hall of Fame. And Pete honestly should have gotten into the Hall of Fame before he died. And I know he just passed not too long ago, but this also bears the question, if he didn't pass just recently, would Manfred have actually lifted this ban?
Probably not.
Probably not. More than likely not. But we're okay with lifting it now because they're gone.
And I totally agree because, I mean, the Black Sox were pretty much, Kenan the Super Bowl of baseball.
Yeah.
And I mean, Pete Rose is, at least he was betting on his team.
Well, imagine.
It's not like he was, rigging the game so they would lose.
Right. But for those of you who don't get the comparison, imagine if Joe Montana threw away one of the Niners Super Bowl wins because he had a bet on it. It's the exact same thing. And it's not okay. Now,
let the NFL do that.
Exactly. They let the NFL just shut the lights off like they did that one year.
Yep.
But at this point, Tony Kornheiser had a very, very good point right after this, though. Just because they got lifted off the ban list does not mean they're making it in, period, let alone in a first ballot situation if there's a special ballot. Pete Rose, in my opinion, is probably the only one that would warrant getting in and arguably getting in first ballot because of, like I said, his statistics alone. But let's hear why Tony believes that's probably not going to be the case.
Pete Rose and Joe Jackson, Shoeless Joe Jackson, are now eligible for the Hall of Fame. But Rob Manfred does not put you in the Hall of Fame. The baseball writers who are members put you in the Hall of Fame. Those baseball writers, as we know well, are guardians of the game. They take violations very seriously. Joe Jackson fixed games. Okay, Pete Rose bet on games as a manager of one team. That doesn't go away. You know who else is eligible for the Hall of Fame right now? Barry Bonds is eligible. Mark McGwire is eligible. Sammy Sosa, Roger Clemens, they're eligible. Are they getting in anytime soon? Doesn't look that way from the voting.
And this goes back to your question, Sparky, of do we let them in and have, different subcategories? Yeah. No. And that's why I believe that Pete and all of these guys will most likely not get voted into the Hall of Fame because, as Tony said, baseball especially, they are gate guardians to their game. And if you did anything to sully the game's name or sully your name while playing the game, they won't touch you.
And we will know it's as early as the summer of 2028 is when they could get in. We'll keep an eye on it, but you're probably right. I would be more shocked if any of the players of the Black Sox get in.
If any of those players get in, I don't know what I'd do, to be honest with you.
I still think Barry should get in, but
no, I agree. Barry, again, that is really where I think the subcategories would come into play here is the steroid era. If you want to make an entire wing called the steroid era and put Barry and Sosa and McGwire and all these guys in there, go for it. Because honestly, at this point, everybody's kind of accepted that as part of the game. But we are not about to make a wing of this Hall of Fame for cheaters.
Yeah, because once they open that door,
not happening, man. Like, we're really going to make an entire subcategory for the Black Sox? Really? You want to talk about integrity of the game? Yeah, they would go right out the window if that ever happened.
And I would expect Barry and McGuire and Sosa, if anyone's going to get in, you would think they would get in before the whole Black Sox thing.
Oh,
but
100%.
we'll take this break, pay some bills, and then we'll get into some miscellaneous. There's some fight news. There's some football news.
Trey Hendrickson finally came out and spoke.
Still wanting to get paid right here on the Early Bird Special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. Not gonna lie, I don't know what I was expecting.
Never do.
Welcome back to the early bird special. I'm Chris Burdick, Sparky. Real quick, there's some news out in the world of football.
Football, which is it's a release day this day.
I mean, we already heard that I believe we're getting the Chiefs and the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, plus a lot of the overseas games kind of got leaked, quote unquote. Can we stop calling them leaks?
A bunch of Eagles. I know the Vikings fans weren't too happy because they got back-to-back international games, and I agree with a lot of fans. I wish they'd put a stop to those.
I mean, again, certain ones are fun, but now we're going a little overboard. I mean, I think we got one every 2-3 weeks of the season this year.
Yep.
And I mean, the Colts and the Falcons will be doing one. I know there's multiple games.
Dolphins
in
and Commanders are in Brazil.
Yep. We got obviously the Sao Paulo game that'll be on YouTube, which is the Chargers and the Chiefs. I mean,
that's opening week.
Yep. And I just kind of feel like, just like we said about Pete Rose, hard to give a dang. Like, nobody really cares. Like, we're going to places that none of these people really care about football that much.
And I will say, since over the last few years, we've heard from players that aren't too excited about it.
No, I mean
they pump it up like it's a Disney thing, and everyone's happy. But even the players and coaches aren't looking forward to these games.
It's part of the spectacle of the NFL now, though. I mean, as we've said, it's a TV show, and that's exactly what they do, and they do it very well. Is everybody that's connected to it is happy all the time until their contract is up, and then they have a reason not to be unhappy, and then they can go and complain for a little bit until their contract comes back up.
Speaking of,
yeah, well, here comes Trey, and I honestly, I have to redact everything I said from back in the day when we first talked about this when the show started. Because I said out loud, Trey should be patient and wait for this to go his way.
As he should, as
he has. And boo on me, because I thought for sure that the Bengals organization would at least rescind what their executive vice president said and get something done with this guy around, somewhere under the number that Myles Garrett got. Maybe not exactly in the $40 million range, maybe somewhere in the 30s. But they haven't even had conversations now, from what we understand. Trey Hendrickson made his first appearance in front of the media yesterday at their camps or mini camps. And, well, let's just start with him and the lack of communication.
What I can say is I'm very disappointed with the communication that's been had. It's very former players have walked in these shoes, and what it foreshadows is not something that I'm excited about to tell my wife and family. They see how hard I work. There's no other organization knows me better than this one. They watch me an individual. They see how I carry myself as a human being, and they know me.
I like Trey. I love the way he carries himself. He's a God-loving man. He's a religious man, family-oriented. He is the sack king of the NFL, really, and has been for the last 2 years. I mean, I don't understand why you don't pay him. I don't understand why you paid T. Higgins and you don't pay him.
Right.
Because I'm sorry. I know T. Higgins is a great wide receiver, but to warrant the amount of money you paid T compared to what you should have paid him, the T should have been for Trey. Let's be honest about this.
And the more I read into it, because I was always thinking it's about the money, it's about the money. And it seems the more of the argument or the conflict isn't the money, it's the length. And that hearing more of the full interview, what he had talked about is that he wants, a 4-year deal, and the Bengals aren't really moving that way. They're thinking 1, maybe 2-year deal. And, as of a player of that caliber, led the team in sacks for multiple years.
Right.
And he is can you imagine the Bengals without him?
Well, they're going to have to live without him because he's not playing on this contract from what we understand. And now these talks have become personal, and he's taking it very personal from what he says. Here's the other part from what Trey had to say yesterday.
You try not to let the business become personal. I think over the last week or so, it's become personal, unfortunately. And when there's a lack of communication in any relationship, if it's business or a personal relationship, lack of communication leads to animosity, and that leaves my narrative only to me with no clear direction. So the lack of direction, the lack of communication is leading to things that are allowing me to think about what's going to happen more than how great they have treated me.
And honestly, it just goes to show that a lot of these organizations just really look for how beneficial you are to their team. Much like the rest of us and what you have to deal with in your everyday lives, your job, really at the end of the day, is worried about how much you can benefit them, not just what you are. And to be honest, I don't understand why the Bengals are so hesitant to give him this 4-year deal. He has shown no signs of slowing down at all as a player. He's, again, led the league in sacks the last 2 years in a row. And he's a stud all around. And you've already lost Sam Hubbard. Like he went and retired this year. And now I kind of feel I feel for Trey because he's kind of seeing the same thing Aaron Rodgers had to deal with in Green Bay when they drafted Jordan Love. They drafted your replacement and now they're ready to move on from you. And it seems like you're no longer important to the entire organization when you are a key pivotal piece to why your organization was at least as successful as it has been the last couple of years. So I get his frustrations. I get why this would become personal for him.
Oh, and then when he gets the text through with head coach,
Yeah.
Bringing up that he would face, fines if he misses the mandatory minicamp that isn't until June. So, I mean, yesterday was the voluntary workouts,
yeah.
and he just showed up in street clothes, which good for him. But not only that, the Bengals have always seemed to be one of those teams that don't pay a lot for their stars. I mean, how long did we have to hear about T. Higgins
And Joe Burrow
and Chase
Jamar, yeah.
and if it wasn't for Burrows, these receivers wouldn't have got paid, is what they were saying. But even going deeper into what the Bengals are looking into right now, not only are they at a standpoint with Hendrickson, but their first round pick, Shamar Stewart, the edge rusher,
The one they're supposed to replace him with,
is
mind
holding
you.
out because they lowballed him on his rookie deal. So not only are they at a standpoint with Hendrickson, but their first round draft pick is holding out.
And you know what's funny is from everything that I have read when it comes to the contracts that they are giving in Cincinnati, a lot of it is under the table handshake deals that if they take this deal, it'll help them be able to take a deal later on down the line for somebody else. That's why you got a lot of the guys. I think Geno Stone was the last one in Cincinnati to take a pay cut so they could potentially get this contract stuff done with Trey. And it just goes to show that a lot of these guys on the team are taking hits just so they can figure this out and get their key guys back on the field with them. And it's still not going that way. So at what point do we blame the organization rather than the player? You know what I mean? Like, I know, I keep bringing his name up, but Aaron Rodgers, this entire situation with him with Green Bay, when he was on the way out, we kind of gave Aaron the bulk of the grief and said it was his fault, not the Packers' fault. When realistically speaking, there's really not a lot of difference here between this situation with Trey and what Aaron had to go through with the Packers a couple years ago. So at what point do we really look at the organizations of the NFL and say, maybe it's your fault? Maybe you're the one lowballing your players and you don't understand what they are valued. And you keep lying to these guys to get your way to make sure these contracts get signed.
Do you think he gets locked in?
No. I think Trey's gone. I think at this point the relationship between Trey and the Cincinnati Bengals is soiled. There's no talks right now in terms of getting the extension done.
I know he had mentioned that, in any relationships, it could be fixed, just like what we saw in Myles Garrett.
Right.
But the Bengals are not the Browns, and it looks like they don't have the money to do it. But just like any team, they can maneuver some things around, but now they're faced on either losing their star defensive player, which we've talked about. The Bengals is they look like they're putting a team together to score points, not stop the other team. So it's going to be a high scoring games, but It's like this small things like this is why the Bengals are the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
And if they continue and not fix these issues, we're going to see another team with a great quarterback and offense like Burrow and never win a Super Bowl.
And that would be I'm sitting here thinking about that right now. Could you imagine an entire lifetime where Joe Burrow doesn't make it back to the Super Bowl?
I've seen it with a quarterback. I can't remember his name.
know.
Oh yeah, it's Dan Marino.
Look, man,
But
I didn't want to have to say it. At least
in
you said
other
it.
NFL news, the Bengals are also working on they want to host a draft here in the next couple of years. They're pushing for 2028 or 2029. And some sad news out of Baltimore. Their safety, Darius Washington, tore his Achilles during a conditioning workout yesterday and is reportedly out for the season already.
That's unfortunate.
So we'll take a break. We got a couple of texts that we can go over, and then we'll wrap up the show talking UFC, MMA, and we'll preview tomorrow's show, especially since tonight is the almighty schedule release of the NFL, which we'll probably know half of it before it even starts.
God, this spectacle is becoming a little too much, isn't it?
Right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM.
I love the gradual movement we've got with Linkin Park songs. Too. I was ready to cut them. I'm good. It wasn't the Transformers.
Got plenty of songs, man. Plenty in that catalog before the girl came in. Plenty.
They all sound the same.
Yeah. But again, we can agree to disagree. That's the whole
Yes.
Welcome back to the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick. That's Sparky.
A big shout out to Nathaniel Webb, a
Yes.
local comedian. He is hilarious, and he'll be performing tonight at Timbler. Doors open at 7. Show starts at 8. Go out there, support our local comedians. We've got a couple of texts. The first one says, now Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, and McGuire are happy to know they'll make the Hall of Fame after they die.
Yeah, no, that's probably true.
Which is jacked up.
I mean, again, the steroid era, I feel like you could make an argument for putting in a subcategory in the Hall of Fame or just a hall of steroid users because, I mean, at least they made the game fun to watch. That's something that's better than the Black Sox could ever say.
Right.
I mean, to sit there and fix games, rig games, it's just that's the worst thing you can do, in my opinion, in sports.
Should the bus be Ninja Turtles?
I mean,
that would be awesome. I'd go see that.
I would too.
But I hope they don't wait until they die.
I mean, again, I hope they don't either. Barry specifically, you better put him in before he dies. Sammy and McGuire, we could, I mean, live, but Barry needs to be in there. And I mean, honestly, you could put Barry in both categories. You could put him in with and without steroids if we want to get down to that.
Yeah, with
the brass tacks.
Jerry curl and the earring.
Before,
awesome.
when he went home one summer skinny and came back looking like he ate himself.
Yes.
But I mean, again, it's Barry Bonds. He deserves to be in there just solely for his play alone, much like Pete does. And I think that they'll get him in there eventually. I just hope it's not before he dies.
The other one says, thank you guys so much for the Kids Fest tickets. The kids are going to love it. And if you would like to win some Kids Fest tickets, we'll have another 4-pack tomorrow.
Yes,
and they do come with unlimited ride wristbands for 2 of your kids.
And trust me, you're going to want those wristbands because there's plenty for your kids to do at this thing. There's going to be plenty of water slides. There's going to be a lot of attractions, including bounce houses. You got some shaved ice places.
That's what I'm looking
face painting.
Food.
It's a lot of fun for these kids, and just it's a really enjoyable thing. And it's at a new location this year. We're not going to be at Strambler. We're at the fairgrounds. And it should make it a little bit more spread out and easier for you guys. So we hope you guys enjoy it.
And
so
do it before the triple digits. That was a good timing.
Yeah.
Our other text says Rob Manfred, the commissioner, is a a-hole. Pete Rose will make it, but not for 2 years minimum. The veterans baseball writer are still going to make us wait, which I believe he is as early as 2028 is when he's eligible. So I hope it's before 2030.
I mean, again,
but I mean, does it really
I
matter
have to
now?
agree though, because like it just for the steroid users alone and the fact that they've been eligible and haven't made it in, I think that is enough evidence to say that the writers aren't just gonna, roll over and say, okay, the betting guys can get in. Gambling may be becoming part of sports, and it's something that they were all just gonna have to get used to. But like Tony Kornheiser said yesterday on PTI, the gate guardians are the writers, and they guard that gate very, very closely. So I highly doubt Pete Rose or any of the Black Sox get into the Hall of Fame anytime soon.
And before we get away from baseball, I know Dodgers would be upset if I didn't say it, but Kershaw is supposed to make his season debut this Saturday against the Angels, and I know they're hurting right now.
For pitching, absolutely.
I know,
and honestly,
Snell, Glasnow, and
I had a entire a power rankings thing drawn up for the first 40 games too. But I mean, we haven't been able to cover baseball much because so much is happening everywhere else. Just know, yes, your Dodgers are number 1 still. Just relax. You guys are still looking good. The Padres are right behind you, though, and so are the Giants. The Phillies are somewhere around there as well. I think there's a lot of great competition this year in baseball, and it's just going to get better and better as the year goes on. Whether these teams continue their hot streaks, that's always what we have to tell. There's a lot of season left to be done.
There's like 80 games left. Jesus.
Well, there's more than 80, but yes.
More than 80?
Well, there's 40. We've only 40 games through the season, Sparky. I say only 40.
Only 40.
We're only 40 games in.
Just let me know when it's after the All-Star break.
Well, yeah, that'll be easy enough. Real quick, though, before we get out of here, there's a couple other stories we got to get to you guys, including Bill Belichick coming out and defending his girlfriend again. This time, though, he let everybody know that he has addressed this entire issue with his team at UNC and the front office.
I'm so glad.
In which all of them are claiming that Bill is very focused on the football season and Jordan, his girlfriend, has nothing to do with the football stuff. I'm calling shenanigans. I'm sorry. I think that story came out last week that we had talked about, that UNC was planning on banning her from the sidelines, and Bill didn't like it. And when Bill didn't like it, UNC folded like a lawn chair, because obviously they didn't want their new head coach walking out on him before his first game. And yeah, they just said, okay, Bill, whatever you say, we promise. Because if that woman is seen anywhere near a football facility in Chapel Hill, I promise you right now, the news is going to be all over it.
We'll call it now. I'm going to say it's going to be a circus in North Carolina.
Oh, 100%, especially in the first year. I don't have enough time to go to the audio real quick, but there is some news out of the UFC. Islam has decided to vacate his title. He will be moving up in weight to make his first appearance at the light heavyweight division. So I am very excited to see that coming up forward. Islam is absolutely a monster, and it's going to be really, really cool to see. And obviously we have some more news for you guys tomorrow. But before we get out of here, Jackson Cantwell, the nation's top prospect in football, 5-star offensive tackle, was probably the most coveted offensive tackle in high school for quite some time, has decided he'll be headed to the U to join the Hurricanes. An interesting choice when he had Oregon, Georgia, and Ohio State all lurking down on him. But the number one tackle in the nation has decided to go down to Miami and join the likes of Warren Sapp, Dwayne Johnson. And I know he wasn't that big of a player, but he still went there and played. That's still a thing. Amongst others, Ray Lewis, Sean Taylor. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see. And hopefully the continuation of what was and what continues to be a coveted football franchise in Miami. So this is going to be interesting to see.
Well, join us tomorrow. We'll recap the NBA games. Of course, we'll talk about the football release, and then we'll be joined by all 22 members of the Acoustics.
Oh, that's tomorrow. I forgot about that.
And much, much more.
I need more chairs.
And mics.
And
Rusty.
mics. Yeah, Rusty, can I get my mics back, please, if you're listening? I need those. But this is the Early Bird Special. Join us back here tomorrow, 7 to 9 a.m., or you can watch us on YouTube at the Early Bird Special. Go subscribe. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Plenty of clips coming out, plenty of reels, all that good stuff. But until then, we got to get out of the way and make way for the great Rich Eisen. But you've been listening to the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. Sparky, let's get out of here.